to the Fix Board now here with Ari. And we have Legacy in the building. But before we get to that, we have to say big ups to our sponsors. Straight Vibes Rum, the official rum sponsor of the Fix. Shout out to Straight Vibes Rum. We also have to say shout out to Pure Water. Pure Water is your smart choice to stay hydrated and refreshed during all your activities. That's how we stay refreshed and hydrated up here. All right, shout out to Pure Water. Last but not least, speaking of legacy, shout out to Itopia Life Herbals, where cannabis and culture combine for one of a kind experience. You can visit them at 10 West Kings House Road, just across from the Canadian Embassy. Make sure to also follow them on Instagram at Itopia Life or visit their website at itopialife.com for latest info on strains and merch. There we go, people. I would say we have Legacy in the building. Especially, well, it's special because in this very building, she's a part of a legacy that would have advocated for us to be in a building like this. Yeah, that makes sense.
If you say so.
That makes sense.
I understand.
Yeah, you get it.
I get it.
I'm just waiting for him. He's stalling. He's trying to figure out how to pronounce your name.
Niambe. No, Niambe McIntosh.
Niambe.
I knew it.
Niambe. Niambe, welcome. Welcome there.
Say Miss Tosh. That's easier.
Miss Tosh.
Miss Tosh.
Miss Tosh. There
Well,
we go.
you know, there is somebody named Tosh Alexander, and I think she well, you know, as a homage to your dad.
Yes.
You know her? Like
we connected on social media a few times.
Yeah.
We've sent her some merch.
Oh, nice. Yes. Like even that too, because you know, I remember interviewing her and she's like, you know, Peter Tosh, she loved Peter Tosh, and I think most people, when they remember your dad, by the way, she's the youngest daughter of Peter Tosh. Is that he's this rebellious kind of free-spirited person. Like, is that a true accurate representation of who your dad was?
Yeah, I think rebellious can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but it's really rebelling against a system that tried to oppress him. You know, I think that context is very important, not just like of things that make sense. It's, you know, rebellion. He definitely had a rebellious spirit. And spoke out against a lot of the oppression, you know, during the 60s and 70s and the things that he's experienced.
Yeah. I mean, and the oppression in terms of like the Rasta movement, the oppression of the Rasta movement, Black people, but I guess race, class in Jamaica, right? But it's really the Rastafari movement. He was basically like one of the forefront and the leaders of speaking up against Babylon.
Exactly. Yes.
So I mean, rebellion too, but and I also feel like in the music industry, I feel like most of the things that I know about him or the lore that I know about him is just like he had no problem telling every music executive to
right.
screw up. So I'm asking you, is that true? Like, is that somebody like he wasn't somebody who played ball and he never really feel the need to sell out wherever it never felt good for him? Was that again?
Yes, definitely true. And so like in his professional space and what his expectations were for the people that he worked with, they were very high because he had high standards for himself. So when he signed on with EMI and they only printed, 40,000 records that sold out in the first day, he's like, why are we only printing 40,000 records? Why isn't my music video on all of the places that it could be, all the stations that it could be? And he realized that they had placed kind of a glass ceiling over what they were going to do for his career, even though the demand was there. Yeah. So he let them know very clearly.
Like really cuss off the people then for you?
Yeah. There's an interview on YouTube where he goes off on them, and he did not hold his tongue in any regard.
Would you say that's the same for you as well? That's how you are?
Am I like that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say so. No, I have a lot of patience, but I know how to like speak straight and direct and sharp. But he has a whole different masculine energy at its peak. It's just different.
What traits would I say you get from him? What traits would I say you get from him?
What traits?
Yeah.
He was humorous. So although his professional life, he was perceived as very serious and militant, most people that knew him personally would say that he was very given. Also extremely, extremely funny. And he used music as a tool to educate people. I actually am a former educator in Boston Public Schools. So I feel like we both kind of shared the trait that really wanted to use the gifts we had to uplift our people.
Yeah. I would say the only reason why you're not as direct is because you grew up in foreign.
Probably. But don't get it twisted.
You can tell a good
yes. Exactly.
Okay, good.
Don't get it twisted.
I was wondering that, this is my personal question. It's like, when you're in America, and I mean, maybe not a lot of people know of your legacy, or you're the daughter of the reggae icon, Peter Tosh. And like, have you ever felt the need where sometimes you just want to go off and like just like show them the true Jamaican and true Peter Toshness of it all? Like, has that ever happened? Especially, I don't know if you've ever experienced racism, sexism, like if that has ever happened where you feel like to go
right. I mean, I think like it's not based on just like, you don't know who I am, I'm Peter Tosh's. There's never been that energy. I'm a very humble person. But I always demand respect on my name because I'm a very kind, loving person. But when I see people show some of their true colors, I do call it as I see it. And I do lack patience in dealing with it because I'm not playing the long game with it. I'm just like, yeah, we're not doing this. Simply put.
Nice.
A lot of people don't know that you manage the Peter Tosh Museum.
Yes.
Estate, right?
Yeah, the legacy and brand. So it's all aspects of the legacy. We have the museum, the Peter Tosh Foundation. It's the name, image, and likeness. We get into the technical aspects, making sure royalties are going to where they're supposed to be going. So it's all aspects, merchandising, website, social media.
But carrying your father's legacy, and, his name in more ways than one, it is a tremendous responsibility. You ever feel the weight of it sometime? Like it's too much to bear?
Too much to bear. I don't think I've ever felt that. I definitely have felt blessed to have the gift of being able to do something like that. And that's to have this legacy to carry is a blessing. It definitely is a heavy weight. I'm the youngest of 10 Jamaican siblings. So 9 Jamaicans, the youngest of 10, and I have 9 siblings. And so, we all have our opinions on how things should go and when things should be a certain way. And the educator in me has patience and understanding that, how we are as a people when we're vexed. We don't always know how to show respect. Like, okay, let's make sure we respect one another. Let's bring it back down.
Grown people. Let's breathe in, breathe out. We don't use our hands.
But I love it. I love my siblings. I love my family. When we come together, it's always a good time. Yeah. And when we're angry and when we're feeling pressure, everybody feels it. So that's kind of, I think, the full scope of it. But at the end of the day, it's a blessing.
Are there moments when you feel like it's a lot? And you being the youngest? Or?
Oh, it's definitely a lot of times. Right now, when you're throwing, anybody that has done a music festival knows the weight that takes to manage, and especially a music festival in Jamaica, where time is a social construct.
That's hilarious. Guys, that's a nice way of saying Jamaican people are not professional.
We don't know what time. We don't know what time.
No, but I deal with people that are professional in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, I'll get that to you tomorrow. And you're like, okay, it's the day after tomorrow. All right.
3 days later.
Right.
Still a week.
But
enough things you have to deal with.
Yes.
But it really, one of my questions that I wanted to ask you, because you are the youngest of, you just mentioned 10.
Yes.
How did it fall on you being the I guess the responsible person for his
the standard
brand?
bearer
Thank you. The standard bearer for his legacy, because, I don't know if the matriarch that they usually handle it, and the eldest sibling. So I was like, is that even an issue and a contention amongst the Tosh family?
Yeah, I would skip 9 people.
Thinking of it like legacy, the eldest.
Right. I could say out of my my 10, I was the only one that was, had raised. Well, there was a few of us that was raised in the States, but I went on to get a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, and then a master's degree in education. Yeah. And so it allowed me to kind of have experience of dealing with a lot of different people. And I guess almost a skill set to being able to feel confident enough to step up to the task. I think in the beginning it was run by a public administrator up until 2009.
Right, that's what I was asking. So, was it a case where you decided to start it, but it was already in motion? But as you said, a public in Jamaica?
So it was actually we had an estate here in Jamaica, and then there's a estate in New York. My dad lived in New York for a period of time. So and then the EMI, all of that record label stuff was kind of split between the royalties were split between the U.S. and Jamaica. And so we actually didn't even know it was our responsibility to take over the estate until 2009. It was just kind of run by the public administrator, and it was just normal.
Wow.
Like, oh, okay, so we get a check every so often, and and that's it. And it was a lawyer in Boston, where I was from, was like, how come the family's not running the estate? What is, when you grow up, you're going to have to transfer over all royalties. Yeah. There's no one providing you that information. And then, my mom didn't know anything about that. So we just kind of was just living. And that lawyer came to us and said, it doesn't have to be this way. You all can take over, what this government office is doing. Yeah. And so once that conversation came in, one of my older brothers and I, started kind of running things together. And I think he kind of leaned on me for just the education piece. And then I leaned on him just for his wisdom and being down here and being a little bit older. But as things progressed, I got more and more involved and kind of then started leading a little bit more.
You think that contributes, that failure of being able to pass on and have like a true standard bearer is a case where probably Peter Tosh, maybe his brand, his legacy isn't necessarily bear with me now, revered as much as it should be in the country. You think that was one of the reasons why, Peter Tosh isn't like more out there, more celebrated, more revered as it should be?
I think that it was a lot of reasons from even in the 70s, when he decided to go his own way from the Wailers. And in his words, he would always say, the Wailers never broke up. Even though people use those words, he in interviews that I've seen him talk about, it was like we all wanted to kind of share our own voices. So Bunny wanted to really control what the message that he was coming out with, and my father as well, and Bob, wanted to go in a direction, but they never felt like the Wailers broke up. But my father's message was very, very political, was very radical. In your face. A song like "Oh Bumbleclot," that may not be what Bob was gonna write.
They'll never play that in the stadium.
Exactly.
They should, especially when goal miss on them.
400 years. He was very much about speaking truth to power and identifying the systems that were broken in Jamaica. And that in itself isn't something that's always supported and endorsed. And I read a book, I forget the reggae historian in California, but he wrote this book that interviewed Chris Blackwell, who managed the Wailers, owned Island Records. And he spoke out. He was like, yo, Peter, what are you doing? And we got that's not what we trying to do. So there was intentionality in making the message of the Wailers to be, a little bit more digestible, for when they go on tour in the US. And Peter was really leaning towards a different direction. And when you do have a voice like that in that particular time, it may not be something that people want to promote, especially if you're using the tools of the oppressors, whether it's a record label, to then be like, yo, oppressor. So I think that played a role.
Like, it's white people.
Colorism, of course. Colorism is a major aspect that we still deal with today.
Absolutely.
And he was a tall, dark-skinned man that also had a tongue. So all these things are compounded to which I know contribute to why he hasn't necessarily gotten to the level that he's supposed to. But the way I see it is that that's just opportunity. You know, to know Peter and to know what he stood for now is to love him. You know, you can't help, everyone has like a little piece of like rebel inside of them. So I do see that now is his time.
And I feel like it's all lore, like it's all mythical lore. Like, you know, it's like, oh yeah, you hear from older folks like who you know, grew up in the time, and like they have their own experience and they share it with you, and then they like everybody I've heard like 10 different versions of why the whalers fall.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's just like, do you feel like it's like, no, there is more a concrete family vision and mission about what the Peter Tosh legacy is all about, and now, you know, there's a drive and a commitment to ensuring that it lives on for generation, like, you know, the other reggae icons.
Definitely.
Bob Marley, like Bob Marley. Jesus Christ.
And big up Bob, my uncle.
I know. Yeah.
No, definitely. I was reading an article. I think the Marleys took over their legacy in 2000. So it took them a good amount of years to take over, you know, their own legacy and learn through the School of Hard Knocks on, you know, what to do. I've gone through hiring a bunch of people. I've gone through firing a bunch of people. And I've gone through being a full-time teacher and trying to manage the estate at the same time. And then saying, all right, now it's time to kind of give it my full attention. I have a daughter. And I live in the States. There's only so much you can do at one time. And I'm really proud that we have, you know, we've accomplished what we've accomplished so far. And it's only like, there's no limit.
And what do you think you've accomplished?
I mean, we have, I did a different interview, so I'm sorry. I'm like, I already told you.
You didn't tell me.
I mean, so since I've started, it was dormant. There was nothing you could find anywhere. So we started petertosh.com. We have at Peter Tosh on all social media platforms, up to 2.5 million followers on Facebook. You can go on YouTube now. I don't remember the followership there, but
and like even the songs, like millions, 8.9 million.
Exactly.
So the albums are on it. Yeah.
So all of that is accessible and kind of moved into one place. We've developed a social media team that's kind of pushing out content on a consistent basis. And we continue to, look for different opportunities. What else is there that we've done? We have merchandise at petertosh.com. People are always asking about merch. I'm excited about coming to Jamaica and really making sure the merch is visible here. It just takes, being in people's face, because Jamaica's a very in your face type of place. You can't send no email, schedule no call, and expect things to be moving like you were here. So that just shows me that there's opportunity, and I've seen different doors kind of open and different relationships that I've kind of had the opportunity to now develop, and so lots more to come.
You know, we mentioned the Marley legacy. And it's one in which has cast a vast shadow, if you will. We talk about the diminishing of Peter Tosh's legacy, if you will. Do you feel like, because people around that time that were around Bob or around Peter, they said no, like you talk to them like in present day, they said like Bob Marley's legacy kind of make for them legacy get lost, and you feel like that's the same for Peter Tosh's in a way?
I don't really give people that much power. I'm the type of person that said, like, I big up anybody that's winning. And so when I see people winning, I'm just like, oh, that just shows us what's possible. When the One Love movie came out, I was like, that was the first time I saw a Rasta. And even though it wasn't my dad's story, it was my dad's story.
True.
And it wasn't up to them to then go create a little mini story on my dad. That's up to me.
Yep.
And so that was a lot of talk that was going on where people were like, yo, welcome to Peter. And I'm like, it's not this is the Bob Marley story.
But then the IS money was for play Peter Tosh and then just Oh, the movie.
Yeah, because I saw some of those clips and I was just, and for me, I think to capture who Peter Tosh is, a man who rides a unicycle, holds a M16 guitar, can play 20 plus instruments, you can't just throw a little piece of Peter and think that that's gonna, you gotta, if you're gonna throw Peter in there, you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to create a whole 4-hour movie.
We have to unicycle?
Oh, you didn't know? He would ride a unicycle on stage. Yeah, he was very, very talented. And so he taught Bob how to play the guitar. He was, like I said, tons of instruments. He would ride. I hear stories now of people that like, yeah, Mom used to see Peter in a, we can't say unicycle, is one wheel bicycle is what we say here. But yeah, very, very, very unique black belt martial artist.
What?
Yeah, one of a kind human being.
No,
so you can't,
I really feel like
you can't put someone like that in as a snippet.
The Peter Tosh film would have been a bad indie movie. Like it would have bad.
Yeah, definitely.
No, but would you have the courage? Because even Bob Marley is the comment or the main commentary of the movie was like a sanitized version of Bob, and they focused on the love story between Rita and Tosh. So would Rita and Tosh, Rita and Bob,
right?
Do you think?
I say, that did go on too. This is new lore.
Starting mix up.
This is new lore.
No, would you guys have the balls really to tell the full unsanitized, good, bad, and everything in between story of Peter Tosh?
I think you have to think of the platform that that you're trying to go for. So if you're trying to go for, and that's what people have to understand, the way the industry works. So if you're trying to go for a major motion film that you want to be broadcasted all over the world, then you have to tell a specific story in a specific style that kind of has a certain format. And if that's what you're going for, if you want to win in that way, and then you choose to tell a certain type of story.
That's why I say indie movie.
Right, exactly. So if you want to tell a different, more unique kind of movie that touches on all these elements that go really, really deep, then you may go an indie route. But then you know what comes with going with an indie route. You're not gonna, you're not gonna be all having all these things and grand screenings all over the world and getting all types of press and music and musical and things that come with that. So you're saying
Prince Harry will never come to our will never be at the premiere? He wants to kill me. I joke.
So it all depends. I don't knock anybody for choosing to take care of their family. I think we have to learn that like we need resources to do the things that we want to do. So maybe you go for a major motion film, but then you use the resources from that to tell a different story. Maybe it's a documentary, because documentaries allow you to go and
there are several good documentaries on Bob. Like I prefer
exactly. In movie formats, they got to have like a certain climax and then like a plot struggle.
And then you have the studio heads involved.
Exactly. I actually enjoyed the One Love movie.
Yeah, and I really think it was just like it was a love story. The actors made it, and I was like, they focus on the love. Like
exactly,
it's a turbulent love story, but a love story nonetheless.
and even you mentioned like seeing Rastafari and filming the way that it was like.
Yeah.
Okay, it was somewhat sanitized, his story, but seeing that it was one of the most authentically Jamaican movies.
Yeah, I've never seen
minus not the leads being Jamaican, but that's true. Then go.
In regards to where it was shot or what was shown,
that's because we have things to work on. I think Jamaica leans towards supporting the sciences and the maths, and we don't pour enough into our arts. So if we can't come here to find, we don't pour enough into our arts. Now we are starting to.
Because I said my teacher shot. So I'm wondering. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
No, it's all right. Now we are. But you tell your mom when you were in the 90s and 80s that you wanted to be a singer or you wanted to be an artist. They're like, open up your book. They're not hearing that anything about that. You tell you want to be an actress.
True.
some of them are laughing at you.
Yeah.
So
book.
So there's a reason. But Jamaica has some of the most talented people all over the globe.
True.
And so it's really a matter of us creating the systems that allow for us to have a lot more to choose from, because it's not that we don't have the talent, but we don't have the opportunity to really develop the talent in the way that we should.
So wait, let me have to ask you this.
Yes.
When you initially saw the news that Peter Tosh's role was cut from the movie, you didn't feel offended any at all?
No, because I think I would have a hard time have seen someone play my father. And when I saw, because when I saw the clips that were cut, I was like, that don't feel like my dad. It's just like, because I know he has a certain energy that's strong, energy that like, I don't know, it's hard to encapsulate in one person that's not him. So for me, I feel like it would take a long time to cast a Peter Tosh.
All right. So what did Tosh family group say?
I'm different. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, because
I'm very different. The Tosh family
what kind of bomber?
There must have been people a part of the Tosh family saying,
absolutely right. The group chat was very different.
I know. So what was the other 9 siblings' reaction to the movie?
Was exactly that. But when I saw it, because I'm the one who took the initiative, because I'm more about unity anyways. I'm a different type of human. I'm not looking to look for things to complain about.
See, you're not a Jamaican.
I was born here. That's not what
my joke.
No, but so yeah, I do have a different way of reasoning with things, and I'm usually the more positive person. And
that's
people,
what they put you at the head.
It seems like you're the more diplomatic.
People would use that word. It's not necessarily it's not like forced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I can always try to see things from someone else's perspective. But yeah, they were vexed. Oh, they cut Peter, and I'm just like, who would play Peter anyway? That's what my head was going. Like, why would I? I'm like, the movie was already this long. How much more can they put in the movie? They got to tell a whole Peter story, because I feel like once you put a little bit, then you're forced to like explain. And when I like right now where we've seen several scripts that we're working on when it comes to creating a Peter Tosh,
that was the question.
Peter Tosh story, but I was not impressed. So I'm like,
and you know what? That's so funny, because that really is one of my questions, because again, I just said it previously, like there are 10 different versions of why the Wailers broke up. So I'm just saying, like, for you, how do you gather the history of your father and what's true, what's not true, what's unbelievable, what's like, how do you really and truly like preserve the real true history of the man?
I mean, it's important I've gone on a deep dive to just see his words, and hear his interviews and his perception.
His word, like he kept a journal?
There's interviews he's done interviews. He actually did before he passed, he had a little voice recorder, and it was used in the Step and Red X documentary. But he had a little voice recorder where he was just recording just his thoughts on. And so the first thing I go to is just his interviews, and I've seen him talk about the Wailers. I've seen him talk about Bob. I've seen him, talk about different experiences. But then I also made a point once I got into this position, I met people that knew him personally, because everybody and their mama has something to say about something they heard about from somebody, or their interpretation of what probably happened. But when you go to the people that were there, that said, I remember your dad was so given, or I remember how funny your father was, or I remember how he was always the first one in the studio and the last one in the studio. I remember him, being the one to really to create the sound. He wanted to make sure that his sound was very different than anybody else's. So that's when you listen to a Peter Tosh album, it's like no other. Yeah. There's so many different instruments. He could play the harp. Who the hell can play the harp?
You just are showing some things, and I said, what? You want to say? What? Is he an angel?
I'm going to say answer the question. No, an angel alone, me see portrayal that's playing alone. You gotta do.
Oh, yeah.
With that being said, I have to ask you though, like, what's the biggest misconception that you've heard about your father that you probably like go out there with a debunk more time?
Yeah, come on, ask. Is it true him really like flip over at him and cuss off Chris Blackwell?
I never, not Chris. I mean, it's possible. So I don't know. I didn't hear that story.
Okay.
I've heard of some moments where he's gotten angry with people. There's the story of Mick Jagger and him in his house, and they're like, "Yo, me, I got you know how Jamaicans talk. Everyone's gonna chop up somebody, and half of them aren't chopping up nobody."
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I feel like he would though.
He's not. He's not even somebody who liked weapons.
Really?
Yeah, he's not. So although he had the M16 guitar, he's not someone that was really into gunslinging like that. It was a very it wasn't like a big fighter, or that was not him. Now people can talk, but that wasn't really his energy. And I think that was one of the misconceptions, because all of the documentaries, like VH1 did a documentary. There was Step and Razor Red X that did a documentary, and it was so it just portrayed him to be this dark, serious man. But my mom would always tell me, she's like, "Yo, Niambe, when anyone around your father, you would piss up yourself laughing because he was just so fun to be around." And a lot of people gravitated towards him because he was also very giving. So, just put money in your pocket to do this. And then there was always people, and I guess that's any artist that's here in Jamaica, but some people, but not all artists kind of move that way. And he was someone, and that, trend could have led to his demise.
No, but you see, we're so in sync, because that was really
hold on, before I go further, I'm gonna say it would have take a hilarious person to make a song named Obombo Clat, for real. So I do, that
a non-serious person, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I really want to know, what was the mood? When going and just what was it when I said, "Oh, Bombo Clat"?
So it said, I came upon right after that, he says, "I came upon this land to guide and teach my fellow man, but one thing I can't overstand is why man don't love his brother man." So it's just,
I never hear that.
Yeah, I know. I know. Nobody does. I listen to the lyrics. So it's basically that frustration that you get when you're trying to do the right thing, and you feel like every which way you turn, someone's pushing against you.
You like it when it's like a meme, the
I love it. I love it. It's getting more and more popular. It's so funny.
And you realize that more younger people reach out, go to this song, because I was on YouTube and anyone here for 2025? I'm like, look at that.
Okay.
People, them hear the meme and they're like, this is so funny, and them go out and try find I want a real song.
Exactly.
Well, I wanted to shift to his death. You talk about him being given, and I don't know how true it is again. Wikipedia said that he was killed by his friend named Mr. Loban, as the man who killed him. So I mean, even that, again, what was your how did you know about the death of your father? How old were you, and what you remember about that time?
I was 5 when he passed away. So I remember but I moved from Jamaica when I was about 3. And so I didn't grow up with him at all. I feel like I remember a phone call, don't remember the contents of the phone call, where he called me and I spoke to him, but I was 4 or so. But then I do remember my mom telling me that my father had passed.
And you said passed. I wonder why.
Transitioned.
No, because it was such a brutal death. He was.
Yeah, you don't when it's your dad that you can't focus on that shit. That's fucking depressing. Yeah,
you make it seem like passed, like he passed away.
Yes, because that's the way you have to say. I remember at his Earth Strong one day, someone got up on stage and was like, "And the brutal guy came in the house and shot him," and you're just like, what the fuck you saying that shit now? At the birthday celebration? So it's just not
it must have Vegas. I say Osha shit.
So it's just not a space that I try to live in because it's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah.
There are times when I've watched, like, there's a couple documentaries that kind of go into that moment, and it does trigger. It can trigger like, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
But it's not a space I live in because of that reason. So,
and I mean, that's true story. That's not,
yes.
it's
a true story.
Yeah.
It was someone that he knew. I don't know all of the details around it. I did speak. I know the drummer was there. Santa. I've spoken with Santa about it, but it was definitely unexpected. And it was a friend of his who would give him money from time to time.
Yeah. And I was wondering too, because, Bob got, there was an attempted assassination on his life, and, like assassination essentially.
Right.
On Peter Tosh. It's like, I always wonder if, again, the conspiracies that you hear was just like the system planned someone to like bring him down because he was so big and strong, and like being used, like the man was being used as a puppet of governmental influences.
You never really know. I know that my brother went to visit him, Lepo, in jail. This was in the past, within the past 15 years or so. And Lepo said he didn't do it. And everybody knows that he did it. And I think there was, for me, I know that,
you see,
where, there's certain energy around, and he was definitely, like, everyone saw him do it. So there's,
but then
I think it gets a little mystical. That's the way I see it. I think it's bigger than what we know. I know it's deeper than what we can imagine. All of the tools at play. But I don't know for sure all of the things, the strings that were attached to that situation.
When somebody, a figure like that gets assassinated, really, like you have to pre them thing, really,
and in the prime too,
bigger things and bigger picture.
I definitely think it was more so tied to the power that he was getting. He got a Grammy the following year. He was only getting more popular, and he spoke out for what he didn't believe in. He was constantly brutalized. People see him with a spliff in all his pictures and feel like you come to Jamaica and not everything irate when you smoke ganja. He was beaten badly, almost to death. Over just one spliff.
I didn't know that story. Yeah. So that's why I mean I read the website that you started the advocacy for cannabis reform because your brother, he was jailed and beaten for having that same amount, like that small.
I don't know if it was that same amount.
Well, cannabis. I'm not putting a number upon it, but like having weed on him, and he was jailed, and that began your advocacy. So even that too, so knowing that too about your father, like, was that to you said, Judge, history repeating itself in your family with your brother that really launched your movement, the Last Prisoner Project, that
right. Yeah, we partnered with the Last Prisoner Project because my brother was he passed away in 2020. Unfortunately, he was, just to give backstory, he was arrested for cannabis possession in 2013 in New Jersey.
Then how much cannabis are thought?
I don't know.
Like we talking parcel
court cases and stuff.
Are we talking trafficking or personal use?
The exact amount was, I think that was documented somewhere, was like pounds. I don't know how many pounds.
All right, that's a lot.
But
of weed.
we're Rasta,
that's a lot of weed.
Depends on who you ask if that was a lot of weed.
That's a lot of weed.
Okay,
that's relative.
For a Rasta compound, that might just be a split for everybody. Okay,
all right, okay.
Depends on who you ask. For if you're trying to heal cancer, you know how much pounds you need to heal cancer.
Yeah,
to make extracts. So you never really know. So it all depends.
Yeah.
But so he was arrested in 2013 for possession in New Jersey. First of all, he was incarcerated for 6 months before even having a hearing to know what the charges were. And then he went back and forth for pretrial motions before accepting a plea in 2016. So 3 years later, he accepted a plea that was we were expecting him to get a little bit of, he was released and then turned himself in 2016. December. 3 months later, he was attacked by an inmate. Suffered a traumatic brain injury, was completely incapacitated, so couldn't walk, talk, express himself, and was like needed 24-hour care from that moment on. And then
while in prison. He was in
the hospital. I had to advocate for even to see him, which is insane. They was like, no, he's not allowed visitors. And I'm just like...
And you said 2020, but this is like the beginning.
So 2017, in February of 2017,
Okay.
He was, that's when we got the news. My mom got a call that, your son has suffered a traumatic brain injury and we need to do life-saving surgery on him. And so we ended up, driving. We live in Massachusetts. So we hopped on a plane, went to New Jersey, went to the hospital, and then we were told we're not allowed to visit him, even though he was harmed in their care. When we got up, I think, they're like, oh, this is the Toshes. Like, we probably shouldn't cause any attention to this. So they ended up letting us see him. And when I got up to the room, he had like half of his locks kind of shaved off. He had tubes up his nose, and then he had a handcuff on his ankle. Now, this is someone who doesn't hurt a bird, a flea, or nothing. He's a very loving, jovial person, Rasta, and has 4 children. And so it was that moment where I was like, okay, like this is a whole new mission for me. He couldn't speak for himself.
Yeah.
I took care. We ended up getting him home after a few months. He was in the hospital for over 500 days. Came home under my care, and I took care of him up until he passed in 2020. And so there was definitely, that's where kind of the advocacy came, where it just was like, wow, this is a...
Like when you think about it all, like for weed, where, now you've seen the progression of how weed is now not just seen as a recreational drug, but a life-saving tool, you know?
And it was starting to be legalized.
Yeah.
So, and the thing about the United States is they don't do things countrywide. They give states the
state rights.
State rights. So you can be in one. If that was Massachusetts, that would have been a non-issue. It wouldn't have been something that we had to deal with. But New Jersey not only has some of the most racist policies and practices, and when you look at their prison population, it's all in, the racism, you could see it.
Yeah.
And that's what he was dealing with.
And we have to talk about
the progress has been in the legalization of marijuana in Jamaica so far.
I'm still learning to see how things go. I see that they have like limitations with how much you're supposed to be able to carry.
We're in a smoke room.
Yes, but I love that. When I came in here, I was like, oh wait, there was this. I don't remember this being a thing.
Much has changed,
right? And so I'm like, how long has this been here? And they're like, it's been here for this many years. Like, really? So I appreciate the progression. I know that on one hand, where just society leans towards being very conservative. So I definitely wish there was a lot more education on like how to consume, how ganja affects your body. Like a lot of us drink alcohol and smoke a spliff. That's getting like dehydrated and wonder why you tripping and throwing up and all these things. It's often because we do those things together. And so like, even if we knew how to really tune into it in a more spiritual way, it has amazing potential for us as a society. So I wish that the education was there more.
I don't see any locks on you. That's braids. But you would consider yourself like a Rastafari? Or?
I definitely do.
Okay.
Yes.
So is it a part of your sacrament? Like that's how you use it for religious purposes?
Yes.
It seems
yes.
like. Okay. But I wanted to talk about like the work that the last prisoner project has done. This is on your website where you've partnered with the Governor Moore to design a pardon proclamation to facilitate the record clearance process. The pardon proclamation has the largest state pardon of 170,000 plus for cannabis possession of any state, and the inclusion of paraphernalia makes Maryland the first state to take such action. So I think that's incredible too, because, when you follow American news, you realize a lot of people, especially a lot of black men and lots of black people are incarcerated for cannabis, and there are cannabis shops popping up all over the world and in America. And unfortunately, white people they have major stakes and major claim to it. So it's like, I feel like the work that you're doing is ensuring that low level. I mean, I'm assuming it's low level offenders are being freed under this. So is there any way that you think this work can translate to Jamaica?
That's the goal. That's definitely the goal. People don't realize that even though in different pockets of the U.S. where legalization was happening, simultaneously in those same states, people were still incarcerated, and it wasn't like an automatic process.
Clearing,
And then people that had criminal records, they made it so complicated to be able to clear off your record. It wasn't just automatic. You had to go to this person, and then if you had 2 charges, then it was, it didn't work. It would have to be just a small amount and this, that, and the third. So they didn't make it easy for a lot of people to just have their record expunged.
Prison industrial complex, they couldn't lose their workers.
Exactly.
They couldn't lose their bodies.
Exactly. So that work still needs to be done on a nationwide level, and definitely something to consider here as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think as Naro mentioned before, I think we've made great strides in like terms of decriminalizing weed. But I mean, legalization, like, you think that's possible?
It's going to be a bold statement that the government has to make, because one of the reasons they don't legalize it is because of our relationship with the crown, with England. And there's international standards that pretty much say that ganja can only be used for research purposes. And so to go against those international standards, that requires a whole bunch of other things that the government isn't necessarily informed about even how to do. So unfortunately, I think that it's time for Jamaica to liberate itself, from that type of control. We are our own people that have our own culture, and the fact that my nephew is still learning that colonization was like an exchange of spices.
Who said that? From where?
From some books I was reading.
In Jamaica?
In Jamaica. I'm reading his textbooks and his notes.
That's not true.
It depends on what school you go to.
Yeah, because every school we know a people is racism. Christopher Columbus for dead. Yeah.
But no, I did see. I was reading his notes, and it definitely downplayed what colonization was.
We know that it was a case of where that's the story that Christopher Columbus told in search of spices. But it transformed into more. I
think that you're an intelligent woman who probably had the privilege of some great education, but it's not the education of the masses, unfortunately. And sometimes when we have certain privilege, we think that everyone has it, but the truth is, I was reading it like, what is this? And what is he, 14 now? This was only a couple of years ago that I was reading his notes in his textbook, and I was just like, this is not colonization. So to that extreme, I mean, our whole government system is a mirror of what's over there. So there's just, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I find that strange because trust me, like, I mean, our history in terms of like, like racism and everything is told without any sanitization. Like we know it for real. And even if the books say something else, the teachers tell us what the truth is. I mean, that's my experience.
The one want to just stick to curriculum.
Yeah, that's my experience. Another thing, Ministry of Culture, what's your relationship with the government in terms of doing more to help grow the brand of Peter Tosh and ensure that the legacy is definitely enshrined in schools, in the music, in the industry, where it needs to be?
We're starting to develop those relationships. I could say that the Tourism Enhancement Fund, big up them. We just got a call today that they would be making a financial contribution to Toshfest and what we're doing there in Peter Tosh town.
That's Westmoreland, right?
That's Westmoreland.
But if you look up, it just said Belmont. I said, where's Belmont?
It's a super small seaside town. So it's not a place that a lot of people know about, which for me, like I said, it just means opportunity, because once you go, oh my God, it's heaven on earth, the mausoleum and where the property is.
Oh wait, he's interned there?
Yes.
Oh, wow,
yes,
that's
yes.
cool.
I'm taking so much information for granted. She's like, you just saying all this stuff like everybody knows.
Unicycle. He's intern in Western.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, that is where his final resting place. That is also where my grandmother's house is. So it's the house that he grew up in. We got all types of mango trees on the property, kneesberry trees. It's heaven on earth. And then right across the street, you see the ocean, and we have the most beautiful sunsets that you can.
No, well,
seen.
true. Westmoreland,
Yeah.
Rex Cafe. Yeah, that's the best place to go and see the sunset. Yeah. Yes, true.
Yeah, many people say that we need to preserve our culture and our musical heritage, but them really underestimate the work it takes to do so. What are some of the challenges that you face in preserving your father's legacy?
I mean, we definitely have the bureaucratic challenges, and it's just like learning all of the steps that it needs to make something happen or to get the support from the government, and it can feel like so much red tape. It's like, like last year we threw our first Toshfest, and it was his 80th Earth Strong. This year he'll be 81. And the 79th, we had a partner throw our Earth Strong celebration in the community, Blue Ocean, who big up yourself. They was like, we'll put on the event. And for the 80th, though, I knew it had to be grand. So coming out of that, I was like, we're throwing the biggest, most amazing festival in Jamaica, not knowing a thing about I know a little something, but doing business in Jamaica is a different thing.
Yep.
So we're like,
I go that song.
no, but
I
love it here. I mean, don't get it twisted. I love it here, but there's a lot of, you're like, all right, I'm coming out big, coming out strong. I'm reaching out to all of the government officials. I invited, I ended up finding that the president of Ghana in a lot of his speeches was quoting my dad.
Wow.
And so I was like, I'm gonna invite the president of Ghana, and ended up on LinkedIn, and then some minister, someone in the government reached out to me just kind of by chance. And I was like, I want to invite the president. How do I do that? And he was like, okay, I'm going to connect you to the deputy of diaspora affairs. She works directly with the president. And I was like, wonderful. And so I sent a message to her. I'm like, I'm inviting the president to Ghana. And she was like, well, okay, first you have to write a letter.
Who are you?
And I'm like, okay. And then she's like, oh, you got the wrong address. And I'm like, okay. And that's the type of bureaucracy I'm talking about. But in that, the letter went to him. And then a couple of weeks later, I get a call from the president of Ghana, who's just himself. And she's just like, I really would love to come, but I have obligations on that day. I will send the deputy of diaspora affairs on my behalf. And I was like, oh, you just ask and you shall receive.
Yeah. That gets exactly where you want, but close
exactly.
to it. Yeah.
And so we brought her in, and I didn't know how to bring in. I'm just like a regular person.
The pick up.
And so it's like, well, you're supposed to let this department know, because governments are supposed to be communicating. But that's one example of just all the things you have to learn in order to kind of deal with things at the government level. Did you really make an on-time taxi pickup? I might have. No, I'm joking.
Wow.
I didn't. Like Uber her to the. No. I did not.
See her. What she there? What she wear?
You've mentioned that it's always a blessing when family legacies can connect. How much involved is the Marley family in helping to preserve the legacy of Peter Tosh, and even with the museum and the brand, they make them support, the relationship they're going?
Yeah.
No, they're very supportive. When we opened up the museum, we had the Marleys there. They were there. Sadella was there. Not Ziggy. Kamani was there. There was, I think, a couple others came out to support. They're busy running their own franchise. But anytime they come to Boston, I'm like, Sadella, I need 5 tickets. And so they always give us tickets. But this last couple of years is really where I kind of took the time to say, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to make sure I go to the concerts. I'm going to make sure that they know that we exist.
Yeah.
Because sometimes just through people having their own lives. And people can develop ego like, oh, I'm not really reach out, they're not really, but that wasn't really the case. We were just two busy families, and once we connected, it was all love, you know. So that's been a beautiful thing to see.
You think
that
people wanting to have beef?
I think people think that there's beef, and people definitely love drama. So I have a little cousin who's like, yo, you should just be like, say something wild about Sadella just because.
That's great. Your cousin said that?
And he was like,
what kind of cousin
Never let this person near Twitter.
Because he
never
knows,
let this person have the Peter Tosh.
because he knows that I can big up Sadella positively and it will get 3 views.
Yeah.
But let me say, boy, Sadella, blah, 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 and Rohan this, then all of a sudden I'm viral. You know what I mean? But no, they always support, and I love seeing how the grin. I love seeing the grins come out, you know, and do their thing. It's a beautiful thing.
I mean, we're not really gonna talk about, I don't know when this is gonna air, but you can just share about Peter Fest. Toshfest. My bad. You know, you're saying that this is the 81st year of his birth.
Yes.
And you're celebrating him. So it's something that you're planning to keep annually in Westmoreland to celebrate him. And one of the ways the foundation is using to honor and, you know, make sure that the Peter Tosh legacy is alive. Just talk about it. And
yes, no. So
I don't know if it's
no, it doesn't matter when it airs. It's important that people know that it exists. So Toshfest this would be our second annual celebration, and it happens in Westmoreland in Bluefields, Belmont community that we are making officially Peter Tosh Town. It's right at his the home of where he grew up, and also his final resting place, the Peter Tosh Mausoleum or Peter Tosh Memorial Garden. If you Google those places, you'll find the same location. And it's part of an initiative out of the foundation that's called Peter Tosh Town, where we're really working with the local organizations to utilize the name and the platform to help uplift the community. So we have a partnership with the Bluefields Basic School to really understand what their needs are right now. They're dealing with a water shortage. They're dealing with a power shortage. They always have to move their school because of rent limitations like that. And so we want to make sure that whatever we can do as a foundation to bring awareness to some of the situations that are happening in the community, we can help to change and uplift those.
Definitely be a Peter Tosh. Hi.
So I've been talking with Belmont Academy, which is a high school, and we're working really closely to make that an official thing.
I was just putting that
so
out there.
I see that you mentioned.
So we're on the same page.
I see that you mentioned on Instagram that nothing gives you a greater joy than seeing your father's legacy celebrated in such a big way.
It's just it just gives me chills. I like Kabaka Pyramid. I check out his concert from time to time. I was just at Summer Stage in New York, and he performed, and there was these big, large screens. And when he performed Mystic Man, it was just this big old picture of my Peter on all of the screens in the place. And I was just like, this is amazing. And those of you who don't know that he did an amazing remix of one of my dad's songs called Mystic Man. It's actually was produced by Damian Marley. And so when I saw Damian Marley for the first time after he did the track, I was just like, yo, this was tough. And you could see it he got the official Tosh stamp of approval. And that was a beautiful thing to just come full circle to still be connected with the Marleys in that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell the people again, we'll put this up before Toshfest this Sunday. Tell them where, when, time.
Yes.
Them
So in the Peter Tosh Memorial Site in Belmont, Bluefields area, Toshfest is happening. It's going to be live stream as early as 6. It's an all-day event. We have Beanie Man, Andrew Tosh, Runkus, and many, many more artists. We even have a kids corner because I have 39 nieces and nephews. So we want to make sure everyone can have their entertainment, dub poets, live Niambe drumming, all sorts of things, crafts corner, good food from West. You're going to get it all.
Not vegan. or vegetarian?
Well, some of us eat meat, so you will have but we definitely have the Ito food there. She's like, wait a minute, you're gonna have jerk pork? I'm like, we're not gonna have jerk pork, but we will have chicken.
No, jerk pork.
I can't disrespect the man.
I'm joking. I get it.
It's like going up to his grave,
You're
supposed to do
not to a man that says.
Throw the white rum.
You must have the man that roll around in that grave and say,
so my father had a song called Mystic Man, and in the song, whenever I would be like, damn, should we get a alcohol sponsor? I could get in my car and turn the radio on, and then the verse in his song, I'm on don't drink no champagne. I'm like, all right, Dad, okay, I'm not getting an alcohol sponsor. I am not gonna do it.
Little rosé.
So you can bring what you want, but that is his home, and so I have a lot of integrity in the job that I do. And
is it their plans for it to be a museum like that?
Yeah. Okay. It's gonna definitely develop into so people will be able to go to the museum here in Kingston, but also visit there to learn more about the legacy.
The guitar, the
M16 guitar is right here in Kingston, Jamaica, at the Peter Tosh Museum.
Oh, okay.
So if you haven't been there to see it, you see all types of it's terrible. You have to do that first before you interview me. Let me go.
I'm sorry. I didn't. My school never carried me there, so they carried me on Bob. Sorry.
That's why we've also been doing that. So usually this month we invite some schools in, and I've done both tours, like take them to both Peter and the Bob Museum.
Yeah,
so.
I've been to Tottenham many times.
I don't blame you. Don't worry. That just means I have
carried
work to do. It just means I have work to do, and I'm excited to do it.
Okay.
So yes.
We're looking forward to see the fruits of your labor continue to bear fruit. You do great work.
Thank you so much for having me. So toshfestja.com, petertosh.com, and at Peter Tosh on all social media platforms.
And where they can follow you if they want.
And ms __ because apparently there's another one. ms __ Tosh. So Miss Tosh.
Okay, there we go. Our people, that's Niambe
Tosh. Miss Tosh.
Right that time.
Yes, okay. Miss Tosh.
Niambe. There we go.
Yes.
Niambe. Make sure we get it right.
Yeah.
McIntosh. Miss Tosh. I'll fix how we that.
Thank you.